So Bob, I didn't bring my wallet, so how's business?
Good, you owe me money, you know.
Oh, impossible. Just a little over 3 years on now from when we first joined forces together, and you know the public really didn't get it to start off with. You know, they gave us a lot of stick that how on earth can you get more? Yeah, come on, Faldo, how do you get a couple more yards from a pair of shoes? But golfers have always known, we knew that the golf swing started from the ground up, then we learned to call it ground force, and now you've taken it to a whole new science now.
That's correct, and it was interesting. I think back to when we first joined forces together. It's probably one of the best days of my life because I had somebody like yourself that's got 6 majors, over 40 wins, and when I had talked to you about how important balance and stability and ground connection was in the golf swing, you had even said to me there's nothing more important, because without balance and stability and connection to the ground, doesn't matter what golf club or golf ball you play, because your arms follow your body. And the science today, we can measure the science with pressure mats and pressure plates and things of that nature, and we know fundamentally that if we can prove a golfer's balance, stability, and ground connection, you will hit it farther and you will hit it more accurately.
People don't quite get, well, how on earth do I hit it further just because my feet are better? But what they don't appreciate is how much, but in layman's terms, how much energy you lose. If you're sloppy, moving all over the place, you lose balance and stability, then the golf shaft changes plane. It doesn't come back to the golf ball the same. You don't hit it the same. You don't impact the same force from all that beautiful swing being on plane. And once you've mishit the golf ball, you're losing distance straight away. And then so the opposite is, as we all know, when you watch somebody do it, when you watch a beautiful golf swing, all in rhythm, all in time, and it looks effortless, doesn't it? But that's exactly it. It's because it's got balance and stability, looks effortless, strike it pure, boom, that's when you get your best shot.
And today's golfers, today's tour players, they know full well how to use the ground. And in using that ground is the reason why they can produce a tremendous amount of distance. And when we first met, you impressed upon me about the finish position, that without balance and stability, you can never get in that finish position. And he always said to me that finish position is probably the last thing that most golfers think about.
Well, they're thinking of that. Their goal is to hit the golf ball. That's number one. And whether that means hitting it, you know. But if you can collect the golf ball and go to a finish and you're in balance, then all of this chain reaction has had to happen. If you're off balance right away, you cannot find it. That's the other thing. Once you've lost your balance in the golf swing, you can't recapture it. You know, so it has to be a chain reaction from I start from a good position, pretty darn good up here, gets better through here, and then boom, then you see your results. So you put all of it together, but you cannot find. I've known that even from a kid. I always used to say you cannot find exactly that line. Cannot find balance through the golf swing. You know, if it starts too snappy and all sorts of things. And the other important thing, you know, is sure the pros hit it miles. Sure, they're hitting golf balls every day. They're athletes. They really are now. But if you want to play your best golf, you want consistency. You really do. You just want to pop it down the fairway nicely. You know where you're going to find it. You get it on the green, close to the green. And we now know, it was what we've really kind of looked at. We know what we've given people to gain in the distance, but we don't want people to lose. I.e., if you're losing out by losing a few yards, every time you got a 6-iron to the green, you know, if you mishit it, boom, front right bunker or somewhere close to that. That's the stats. You're going to miss it front right. That's where the average golfer hits it. So you know that, well, if I'm just a little bit better, this all chain reaction happens because I'm more balanced, more stable. You hit it solid, fly that bunker, it lands the yardage you were hoping. So how many shots do you think that saves you in a day?
Right.
That could be anything.
Right.
I mean, if you hit in 4 to 6 bunkers and you're having problems, that's going to be at least, I don't know, 4 to a dozen or more shots lost. So, you know, as you said, when you come in from a rounds golf and go, oh, I could have been 6 better, without doing anything different, i.e. just carrying a couple more bunkers because you hit them, you got away with it a little better. You had a better golf swing because of the stability, strike it better on the green, putting for birdie instead of bunker shots for bogey.
I don't think there's one person that's ever played this game that went out and shot, say, an 85 that didn't come off the course and say, you know, it should have been an 80. Yeah. And when you dissect that, most of the time, it's because they sliced it, they pulled it, or they chunked it, and the reason for that was their weight distribution or their balance and their stability. And that's why the pros play as well as they play, is because they can control that balance, that stability, and they've got great ground connection.
Well, so the great thing about SQAIRZ shoes is you then don't have to think of this, because there's nothing worse than trying to put this all together. So the idea, you wear your SQAIRZ, it helps you with balance and stability straight away. That's the whole point. So suddenly your swing feels a little bit better, a little bit more control, you hit it a lot sweeter, and that's when you produce the nice shots. We've had a fair share of doubters, but I say now, with the backing up of pure science, you're missing out. If you haven't got a pair of SQAIRZ, you just don't know what you're missing.
Absolutely. 3 years later, we've sold hundreds of thousands of shoes. We've had multiple tour wins, and we got a lot of amateurs out there playing better golf.
So tell us how you've moved the whole technology on a couple of notches.
So with the SQAIRZ shoes, we allow the toes to sit more naturally in the shoe, and that will inherently give you better balance, better stability. And then we widen the base under the ball or the foot. But then what we did is strategically place the cleats for better interaction with the ground.
Okay.
So if I can improve your balance, your stability, and your ground connection, you will hit it farther and straighter.
Yeah, and more consistently. That's the other thing people are really looking for. And what about the comfort level, fatigue factor, as you call it in America? You know, if your feet are worn out by the end of the day, it goes to your knees, then it goes to your hips, go to your lower back. I mean, that's the last thing you want, is to be, you know, aching after a round of golf.
Well, again, the toes sitting naturally is going to provide that comfort. And then the insoles that we use, it's a new technology in the insole. So as you know, tour players walk for a living. So not only do they find our shoes a performance golf shoe, but one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn.
Cool. So 100,000 golfers, we believe, playing far, far better golf, lowering their scores. So why don't you join SQAIRZ Nation? What are you waiting for? Get a pair. Change your shoes, change your game.